Sanders.
Colonel those
Chicken?
popcorn.
Chicken? Spaceballs? What's the
Nashville
matter?
hot chicken. Have you had
It's-
Nashville hot chicken in Nashville?
No. I wanted to.
We should.
When are we
We could,
going to Nashville?
we could just do that as a fun guy trip.
Oh, yeah. I was there for the entree architect meeting, but didn't get hot. Well, actually, I did have some hot chicken from the, whatchamacallit, the hotel venue.
That doesn't count.
I don't think so.
Fun fact. Um, I went to high school in Nashville
Oh, yeah?
for 1 year.
Good for you. How was it?
Kind of scary. Yep.
Scary. Why?
Well, I don't know. It just back then, I don't know. I mean, angsty teen. I don't know. It certainly was the Nashville that is the Nashville now. That is like, downtown was super sketch, like, which is kind of okay. I mean, for like an angsty teen, right? Um, but now that I actually have like disposable income and stuff, like, I have a different perspective about travel. So
I see. You
I don't know where
fancy.
I was going with that. I really don't. I mean,
You're
I
just describing your life in Nashville.
well, I mean, like, so like this was like you had a learner's permit, like you didn't have the driver's license, so you had to rely on the older kids to drive you, and so they were a bunch of, not, I wouldn't say delinquents, but it was like, you're hey, where are you going? Oh, we're just going
Deadbeats.
something.
Mall
and
rats.
and then you end up like at the Parthenon, at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday, and yeah, I don't know,
Yeah, I get it. I
stuff.
didn't. I didn't. I did it all from Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah. Then I moved to Texas, so and then had a driver's license of my own, and then was able to control my own destiny, so to speak.
Were they? Did they have any limitations on licensing back then? For me, no. Once you got it,
Like you're
you got it.
16 and you got a license and you had a car, and yeah, no.
Well, I didn't have my own car, but like nowadays here in Michigan, like until you're 18 or something, like you can only drive like to certain places and
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those kinds of limitations. No, no, no.
Yeah.
I had a 1979 Chevy Nova.
Oh, nice.
It was still, it not was, it still is the best car that I've ever had in my entire life.
Really?
Like, I would totally, I think I would totally trade the Prius for that, like, powder blue 79 Chevy Nova. I loved that car. It was, my dad was, my dad bought it in 1979 in Atlanta, Georgia, when we lived in Atlanta. And so it moved across the country a couple times. Um, and yeah, my first car, you know, awesome. Just awesome. Drove it till there was no more to drive,
Till the wheels fell off.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's cool. Nova's had a there's a car culture of hot rodding Novas, you know?
I'm just saying, you give your kid 16-year-old kid a Nova, and and you're an only child, and you kind of, are trusted. You can kind of go a lot of places.
Was it a manual transmission?
No, no.
No.
I mean, I
Oh,
can drive a manual, not well, but yes.
I miss the manual.
Straight six.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The Novas could be hot rodded pretty good. They
And they also had a
had a big
penchant for like they handled off road well. I mean, even with like lower ground clearance and stuff, but they were, they were pretty solid,
off
pretty
road.
solid. Hmm.
Now you're starting to reveal things.
No, no
So
reveals.
so are we going to talk about pi?
We can talk about Pi because it is now a couple days past Pi Day.
3.14169 2. I don't know. Lots of numbers. 3.14. Do you believe that pi is potentially 3.12?
What?
No, right? I was sitting there. Okay, so well, first of all, I volunteered to get pied in the face by students as the professor. Pie a professor for Pi Day fundraiser. It was a fundraiser for the architectural engineering students that are going to Kansas City as finalists for a design competition. So they need to, fund their way to Kansas City.
Hmm.
So I got pied in the face, but I my students are pretty cool because
Not aggressive and angsty like us.
they didn't want to harm this face with, so they gently pied my
Oh,
face.
gently even.
It was very kind. Yeah, it was fun. I got a few. I had some that turned me down. I was like, "Come on, do it for a good cause," and they were like, "No, I can't do it. I think you're too cool." That's how I took it.
That's how you
I'm
took it. Okay.
a cool
Yeah, that was
professor.
like the inner voice. Yeah.
All right. And so where I was going with that is, so that was why. So I was sitting next to no offense, a humanities teacher, and they were debating like, is it 3.14 or 3.12? And I was like, I don't think math has option.
No, no,
I
no.
was like, what do you mean 3.12?
No. So
It's
I was
always
going to say
3.14.
it's
Otherwise, Pi
3.14.
Day would have been
Yeah.
on the 12th.
Yeah. I mean, and so like how many digits, like, did you, like in math class, right? And did you ever have to do like who can memorize it out
Oh yeah.
so far and stuff?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I can only. I think it's 1416. Right.
Nope.
It's 19.
One four one
3.14
five nine.
159. I saw a thing on Instagram. You know Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? The
Yes,
physicist. His son can do pi to 100 places,
that's impressive.
and he did it, and they tracked all the numbers.
That's a lot of memorizing.
That's
And
a lot of, because there's no, the order. There's no. That's the whole thing, right? What's the rule on pi?
well, there's, I mean, it's it's irrational, and so that it's not like there the sequencing of it, also is. So that's why when people talk about codes and code breaking and things like that, I mean, like pi is a prime, and all those kinds of things, and um, yeah,
I still smell like the whipped cream. It's not. It doesn't age well.
not a math major here, folks.
Yeah.
Um,
Or a
I'm
spelling
not
major.
spelling and math. I mean, I'm good at math. Let's be honest. I
We're all
actually,
we're all good enough to be dangerous.
yeah. I was pretty good for a long time, and then I held my own. I was up there, but then stuff. So I mean,
Pie.
yeah. I mean, my daughter might actually like go and get like a extra bachelor's in math or something like that. But
Yeah.
or at least that's
Nerd.
what I'm
Nerd alert.
encouraging.
Just
Yeah, I
kidding.
mean, encouraging her to do that. But yeah. So
My neighbor is a math teacher, had and was pursuing a PhD, but stopped at a master's. My friend, the roller derby coach that we've talked about, Nick, uh, and yeah, he knows a lot of math.
See,
he's
there you
he's
go, right?
he's
You
real
know, I
good at
mean,
math.
there's career, it's career opportunities. I
He
mean,
teaches yeah, ninth and 10th grade. So
another fun fact. So on the maths, I did, Kurt and I from time to time will send each other suggestions on the shows. So things to like park the brain for a little while, pick up on some popular culture, watch a new show that somebody might suggest to you. I have to say, I stumbled on it a little bit. It kind of fits into my like conspiracy theory genre of dark mystery detective story kind of stuff. Um, which I don't indulge in as much as I used to, only because the world's also kind of dark and I don't need the entertainment to also do the same
I've
thing.
actually I've stopped watching true crime because yeah,
See, there
too
we
much
go. Right.
too
I
much these
mean,
days.
you know, but I will say that Prime Target
Ooh,
is quite good.
yeah.
It
I
is,
I I got the we finished the Severance and then it's like here,
I,
watch this.
I
But we
am,
didn't watch it. We went to bed.
no, 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 I am suggesting it.
I'll do
It
it
is quite
after
good.
this podcast. Let's hurry up and be done
Yeah,
so I can go watch some TV.
it is quite
That's
good. I
that's
did,
the typical Gen X answer right there.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So,
I let's see. That's on Apple then, right?
yeah,
Or HBO. Okay.
uh, Apple, right? Maybe.
It's got
I
to be because I watch Severance and Mystic Mythic Quest. Have you watched Mythic Quest?
No, not yet. I know what you're talking about.
That's a fun one. They're short because it's a comedy, so they're only like
But
30
yes,
minutes.
Apple TV.
Sounds good. Prime Target. And Righteous Gemstones is back. If you watch, you got to watch that. So good. That's on HBO. And then
That's not that infomercial guy who's like sell, 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 buy, buy, buy. Not
Info?
that like creepy infomercial guy.
No.
Okay,
It's Danny McBride
definitely not the same thing.
is the lead and Walton Goggins is in it. John Goodman. It's just really good. Adam Devine. Anyway.
You watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I think we've
Uh,
discovered over these last couple of years. Like I watch a lot of sports,
yeah. Yeah.
maybe to an unhealthy dose.
I don't
Um,
watch very much sports
I
except
I
for
love
football.
I love the soccer. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I do also
Bye,
like.
bye, bye.
I mean,
Sell, sell, sell.
I do like the football. Um, um, but yeah,
Hey, we're in March Madness,
I know.
and the USC women's is the number one seed, along with UCLA, South Carolina, and was it Harvard?
All right. So is this going to be another one of those like times a year where we do like a healthy like wager?
Oh, yeah. I'll put some money on USC basketball, USC women's. We
So
got the
is this one of those sort of like this is like Detroit against everybody kind of shirts, and you're like USC versus everybody?
That's right. That's how we're raised at USC. Always believe.
Okay. So that's on
So
the
we're
women's
gonna do
side.
some brackets. Yeah, on the men's side,
We should totally do some brackets. Like, can we do
yeah.
that? That'll be fun. Let's
Well,
do
the
some
brackets.
brackets.
I mean, we need. Well, we can't do it right now, but
No, not like right now on the
we
podcast.
need
Right
them
now.
to. Let's see. Yeah, because the games are. I think they start on Thursday,
Yeah, they're this week.
so we got to start. You got to
Oh
fill
yeah.
out the
Oh yeah.
bracketology,
I
and
might
then
have
we
already
can
filled
do
out
a.
the bracket.
We could post them into the whiteboard and then have a chat.
because
I think next
so
week.
as you're talking about,
Because we'll have
like,
some games done. We'll have the first. We could see.
mm,
Get the brackets started
okay,
now.
and on the men's side,
Is A and
the
M in
Aggie
there?
men are kind of tearing it up this year.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
All right. NCAA
I believe
bracket.
they're a 4 seed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
not to
I'm gonna
throw any shade, but Texas was a bubble team, so they are in ish.
4 seed. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Michigan and Michigan State are both in. I don't think USC. Uh, nope. Oregon's in, but they're pretty good. Sorry. All right, we got it. This is gonna be Texas. Well, they're on a. I think they're on a play-in.
yeah, Texas is on the
Yeah.
bubble, dude. That's what I just said.
Oh, there's already a game on today. San Diego State, North Carolina. North
Bubbles.
Carolina is in a bubble game?
Yeah, I know.
Weird. Oh, there's already been a game finished. It's Alabama State beat St. Francis University. All right. This is devolving.
Whew.
We gotta park the bracket. Park the bracket. So did you get the little clips? Did you see the clips in the Google Drive?
I did,
Okay.
and I didn't do anything yet.
But you like them? They okay? There's the one of the clips says this, that we are the only live streamed architecture podcast. Live streamed
Which is kind of what we're doing
on
right now, right?
Tuesdays right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tuesdays uh on YouTube and Twitch.
we made it happen.
We
And for,
are
and for Sterling, if Sterling were listening to this live stream part, like,
could be.
yes, we've been doing a lot of the sports, but we are going to talk about architecture and sketching here in
Moving on.
just a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
in the
then
actual show.
and then in June, like, if Kurt goes and gets his tickets, like, then you and I can both do a Wu-Tang recap.
Oh yeah. I've been talking to my friend who's working on that. My
Yeah,
friend
well, I
Amir.
mean, you've got a whole nother level of connection, which, if you know a guy, who might need to make a trip. But I will say that, like, I'm getting to go with Sterling and our friend Jerry. So, yeah, three of us are gonna go.
Your show is in June?
Yes.
Okay. They get up here in July 8th, which
Okay.
would be my dad's birthday. I guess it's still his birthday, even though he's
Always his birthday.
passed
Yeah.
away. It's easy to remember. So, should we get a little more formal now? We've
Hit that
sufficiently
button. Find that button.
sufficiently warmed up. The
Yep.
end stream button.
No, not the end stream button. Not the DEFCON 1 button.
DEFCON. Wait,
The other button.
is DEFCON 1
It's the
easy?
bad. DEFCON 1 is bad news.
I thought it was 5.
No, no,
I
no,
thought
no.
it goes the other
No,
way.
no, no. Comes down.
Okay.
I'm
Red.
I'm going to Google that while we're in the.
Wait.
It's not. Yeah, DEFCON 1 is.
All right. Oh well. Hey Jimmy,
Hi, how are you doing?
how's your DEFCON?
Well, so we're going to add a new feature to the podcast, folks, and we're gonna start each episode with our DEFCON level. So we have confirmed, that I might have been right. Kurt was a little bit suspicious about it. He's throwing up some hand gestures, not ones that you're thinking about as hand gestures. our hand gestures that we use to like just explain things to one another on screen
Sign language,
in
coffee
our
sketch language.
healthy podcast. It's like a banter. We
Yeah.
might have we
Remember
might
when
have
we did this without video?
I I don't know how we did, but it was like at that point it was telepathy.
It was
Um,
it was a lot of mind games, mind
yeah,
control.
yeah. So,
Well,
so we're gonna
welcome.
start each episode. So for the folks who are joining us for the first time, this is the Coffee Sketch Podcast. We do talk about art, architecture, popular culture, our daily lives, a little bit of update, and of course the coffee,
Teaching
teaching,
teaching things. Yeah,
yeah,
learning
learning stuff.
math
Maybe
sometimes.
maybe math, maybe a little bit of AI. We'll get into a little tech stuff today. But we're gonna add a new segment, just because of I don't know, it just feels right. Just feels right. It's 2025. It feels right. We'll
Yeah.
just say it. We'll leave it there. So DEF CON is sort of the U.S. military readiness, right? So they use that, like, if you remember, like as like an '80s child, like the movie War Games.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick's maybe one of his best films ever, right? War Games, like with Whopper. Do you remember Whopper? Like, whoa, Cormac is like, mine just went at this point.
Whopper.
Um,
It
yeah,
does sound
Whopper.
familiar.
Yeah, so Whopper was the supercomputer that he had to like play
Right.
play the game against, right? Do you want to play a game? Um,
Right.
so DEF CON is the military readiness level, So we normally don't worry about this, but maybe. So, so DEF CON 5 is kind of like it's all good. It's like green pastures and blue clouds and puffy stuff, the
Blue
whole thing.
skies with
Blue.
puffy clouds.
There you go, that one.
Puffy white clouds, yeah.
Jamie's drawing lines and there's little squiggles and
There's lines, yeah. Lines is
you know, run it through that AI and it's just everybody's
safe zone.
happy. It's all
Safe
smiley
zone.
faces. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
The
So
sketches might be different levels of DEF CON.
yeah, so there's DEF CON 5, right? We're kind of all good, right? Um we're sipping the tea, we're not even drinking the coffee because like who wants to pollute their body with the caffeine, right? We're just and then in DEF CON 1 is like joystick in hand and we're diving into the depths of the ocean and the craft is really probably collapsing in on us. So if you see us do this on the screen, maybe means something.
War games. War
Yeah,
games.
it's war games, Atari joystick in hand. So um, all that to say is welcome to the show.
Yep. Welcome to the Coffee Sketch Podcast, the only live streamed architecture and design podcast that talks about coffee and all those things and DEF CONs, live streamed on YouTube and Twitch
Just workshopping that
Tuesdays.
DEF CON thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we got to have something.
something.
It seems appropriate,
We learned that some podcasts they like to have lists. They also
Yeah,
like to have names for their segments. Neither of which we've really ever done with any consistency.
we have
But
segments.
we have segments. We know that, but it's all up here. Oh,
Telepathy.
yeah.
So, what's in your DEF CON cup?
I had to go to the Grackle.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good switch. Nice pivot, as they say, pivot. So, Grackle it is.
Grackle it is. Just
Where's
an
my
old
Grackle?
standby. I know. Hey, I know. I know. I mean, you had a pie in your face
Oh, we didn't talk about. Well, we were talking about that in the.
in the
Well, we have some
yeah.
photo evidence of Pi Day.
But
Yeah,
I'm not trying to give away any secrets here, folks. We will talk about the pie. But you had a pie in your face that has given me extra impulse to get that care package in the mail.
That's pie on my face.
Yeah.
So, well,
What about
no
yourself?
pressure, no pressure.
What you drinking?
I am still working through the coffee sketch, our coffee sketch podcast coffee from Rootless. So, you know, get the French press, grind the beans, put it together. My French presses don't seem to last too long.
Well, you got to
I
keep
break
all the
parts on them.
parts. You got to keep all the parts. Don't throw
I've
them in the
got parts,
trash.
but the parts are. I had to rebuy. What was the part that I? Oh, the. Oh God. Anyway, that was my AeroPress. It's now it's reconstituted. It's complete again. It's the whole object. So yep, the rootless coffee sketch blend, which I've always wanted to like make little giveaway bags sizes, right? But that would mean I would have to open up and then like repackage, and then I feel weird about like handing people repackaged. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean it'd be like at Halloween, like
How,
where like you come
how
home and
I'm not gonna put razor blades in it.
mom and dad are like, no.
Popcorn ball?
You
No.
throw all that stuff on the carpet in the living room, and you're like sorting stuff with your friends, and you're like, oh yeah, I like this, and oh you're trading for that, and then mom like hovers over and goes, yeah, that you're not, no,
The
that's
popcorn ball.
going right in the trash. That was that one house.
The DEF CON 3. Yeah. Yeah, so I that's why memories of yeah, safety measures keep me from doing that, but we got to figure out something for, the conference.
Well, we've got a lot of ideas. We have like if we had a vision board, if we were if we were
I got
born
a
about
whiteboard
10
over
years
here.
later than we were, then we would feel compelled to do vision boards, right? I mean, like that would like be right in our wheelhouse.
Oh
Like that
yeah.
just,
Are you saying it's a
um
millennial thing?
so yeah, but it's, we're not. We understand what they are. We appreciate factors and the essence of it. Um so yes, we do have some ideas.
Well, brainstorms, yeah, can exist on whiteboards, right? I keep pointing over the wrong shoulder.
Well, I know, like you've moved a couple times. You haven't reassembled your crazy board with all the string and all the yarn.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed,
So,
but we'll get you there. Yeah. See, it looks kind of nice and fresh.
the fresh wall.
Mhm.
So Pi, okay, so we can flash the screen for the sketches, but start over here with the evidence of the pie face. I got pied in celebration of Pi Day 3.14,
159.
159 something something numbers. Uh, there's me in my Lawrence Tech co-ed shirt. It's representing our department. And for a fundraiser, good cause. The architectural engineering students are in a finals for a design competition, and they're trying to fund their way to Kansas City. So I said, I'll I volunteer as tribute to get take one for the team. And I took four for the team, at least four pies
At least
that I
four
could
that you remember. Like it
that I
started to
could
get sort of
remember.
blurry.
Yeah, it's all still
Did you
on.
have goggles on? Like, what do they have? Like,
I
is that
did I did bring some eye protection.
okay?
Yes. Some some the things Home Depot glasses, or simple eye protection, Safety first,
It's
right?
important. It's important.
Keep keep it DEFCON 5.
Now, as we're looking at this, I see a lot of like that visqueen barrier behind you, and like the chairs, and the lady next to you like has like a hairnet.
Yeah.
Um, so you know, have you seen? This is the audible portion, like not audible like I'm speaking, but audible like let's
Football.
call an audible. So
Pivot. Switch
we're pivoting.
planes.
Yeah. See, I didn't even see. I'm not even using the architecture jargon,
That's
right?
audible.
I'm going straight to the sports jargon because this is a
Sports.
sports thing. Have you seen the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Would you
The
do that
where where do they? Yeah. Where they dump all the mayo on you?
on the winning coach? The winning
Yeah.
coach
Gross.
gets like a mayo bath.
I know. I know. Well, it's marketing, right?
It's marketing. It's that time of year when like you're at home and you're like the TV's just sort of on and like the family's doing stuff and you're prepping this and that and whatever. And if the Duke's Mayo Bowl's on, I have to say, folks, it you don't even need to watch the game. Like
Yeah.
it's like the end with the whole Mayo bath, quite a spectacle. Um, the announcers during the course of the broadcast will try different versions of whatever the crazy demons at Duke's make up as like pseudo like product testing. And so they'll like there's some weird stuff that they eat, I will say. And
Oh,
um
I
yeah,
missed it this year.
all the way
So
through the broadcast. Not to be outdone by the Pop Tart Bowl.
yeah. Then there's the Cheez-Its too.
Yeah, but the Pop Tart one, there's a they put they put the live Pop Tart mascot in a toaster, and then it comes out the bottom, and then the players who win the game get to eat the Pop Tart.
Ah,
It's
what
like
will they think of
cannibalism.
next?
It's like cannibalism at the end of the football match.
The
So I
Cheez-It
don't know.
Cheez-It one though, I think they fill the trophy full of Cheez-Its.
See, I love a Cheez It.
I
So
like
yeah,
Cheez-Its.
yeah.
The extra burned ones, the
Well,
toasted.
that's the Pop Tart Bowl, right? So like and the that mascot looked a little frightened going into the thing and doing the.
Well, it's kind of like a near death experience.
I think so. I think so.
So you don't.
Did you have that with the pie in your face? Did you have a near death experience?
Nah, no, the students were quite gentle. They didn't want to they didn't want to slam the pie. So it wasn't very messy all in, but it was a good cause.
Not like
Good
a good
sport.
cascarone over the top of your head.
Cascar- what is a cascarone?
You don't like
I don't know.
the
I don't know that one.
eggs with confetti in them, and they
Oh,
just smash the egg on your head.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get
Young
it.
children, to their delight, get to do that to their parents. It's
I don't.
amazing.
I mean, I haven't. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Cascarone. No, no glitter. That would
Mhm.
draw suspicion. I think. You know. Anyway,
Next year. Next
evidence.
year.
So, um, while we're looking at the pictures, I guess I'm pivoting, making a pivot
Ooh.
to the sketch, and we did a little collaboration. I think this week. Sketch AI. Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get this caption out of the way, because that's interfering with the view. There we go. So, cascarones aside. So Jamie brought back something I had not thought about in a long time, but I used to stare at like books, monographs and stuff, and things that had this project in it, long before the internet. Well, not the internet, but you know, availability of Google image search and so
It
on.
might have been dial up, is what he's saying. It might have been dial up.
So getting the book in the library was easier, but this is it's funny when you said you called it Zaha, and then I saw the human, human figure, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what that is. It was so it's and but I forgot the name, so you reminded me. It's the Mind Zone, Zaha Hadid Mind Zone project, which was in the Millennium Dome in London in 2000, right? It
Right.
was
Yeah.
an
Designed for
expo
the yeah,
pavilion.
designed for the third millennium celebration. Y2K, folks.
Yeah, Y2K. You know, okay, so just for the perspective, Jamie, most of the students that I teach right now were born after Y2K,
I realize this.
which
That's right.
then means they don't know what the Y2K bug
I know, but there's a movie coming out right now that's like going back in the time machine.
is. It?
It's like I think it's like a horror spoof ish thing. It might have already come out.
Oh,
I saw
I
the
think I know what I saw a
I saw the
trailer.
trailer for it and I was like, why is this speaking to me? Like maybe
I
because
want to
I
watch
lived
that too.
maybe because I lived through that bizarre moment.
You know what?
Like,
You know the panic that the panic and the subtle pandemonium that the Y2K glitch potential caused. If that's the only thing we had to worry about now in Y2K25,
yeah,
I I would be I'd be way more chill.
be like DEFCON 5. Yep.
It'd be just down at DEFCON 5. Yeah, right now we're nearing DEFCON 2 to 1.
I think
DEFCON
we're
2.
I think we're 2. Maybe 3. Like, do we be optimistic and say 3
Y2K.
or do you want to say 2?
We'll do 3.
Okay, we'll do
We'll
3.
start at
3
3.
this week. We'll start at 3 this week.
Yeah.
It's a new segment.
It depends on how our brackets shake out.
Yeah, I know. Well, gosh, right. March Madness.
So, Y2K, the year 2000, um, had lots of optimism and healthy doses of fear. The clocks. What was the result? So everyone was worried. For those that are too young to remember, the big fear was that the our computers would not be able to handle the clock rolling over from 1999 to 2000, or all computers, I guess. And then banks were really worried, right? Because it's going to screw up their records, and then people's money, and right. But then you know 2000 happened, the new year, and people nothing 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 was the problem. The computer figured out how to make 2000, right?
Right.
They didn't even have to fix anything, I don't think. They
Well,
just
no. I mean,
it just it just was.
I mean, think about this like from a like let's zoom back out like and the ridiculousness of it to some degree, right? But at the same time, sure. So Y2K gave us the scare that Kurt's describing, in terms of we're this is the burgeoning of the internet era and the information age. We're all kind of transitioning to that, and then we're realizing, holy crap, like what if the computers don't know like that like there's going to be a 1 after that 0 at some point. And so then you get terms like doomsday prepper become part of the lexicon
Oh yeah,
of
yeah.
modern life, and
Oh my
and you may
goodness.
or may not have that aunt or uncle who has tons and tons of green beans in a can, and you're wondering, I don't understand. Like, what's
It's like a big
yeah,
boomer problem.
right? They were worried.
No
They were
offense,
really worried.
boomers.
They were trying to prep. That's what they did,
Doomsday
and they
preppers.
had the money to do it. But but the other thing too is I also think about the ironic nature of the fact that you remember the artist formerly known as Prince, who then became Prince again before, you know, anyhow. He had that song 1999, which is
Yeah.
all about moving into the next millennium, right?
Hmm.
Do you know when it was released? I actually looked it up specifically because this episode, hoping that we were going to talk about this sketch.
I no. Was it 2002?
No,
1997?
no. I'm going to give you one more guess. Think irony.
Irony. Uh, I don't know.
So
1980? 1988?
you were closer with the first one, and I'm going to give it to you. 1982.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so Prince, and a lot of people kind of
Well, he was
always
ahead of his time.
he was way ahead of his time. Let's just be
Apparently.
let's just be honest. You know, Prince still, you know, amazing and in and a diva in and of himself. And so that's my transition was bringing up Prince. Like
Oh,
I might have set that song to this track when I posted it on Insta for multiple reasons in Jamie's brain. But yeah, so
from one
Zaha,
diva to another,
yeah, from one diva to another.
Zaha
Thank you.
to Prince. That's odd. I never actually. The fact that you even asked that, uh, I never thought about the year that song was made.
But
It's a good
we knew all the lyrics,
it's a
right?
good trivia question.
We
Yeah.
knew all the lyrics leading up to 1999, and we didn't know why. It's because it had been around for 17 years beforehand.
Was was a DEFCON was a DEFCON 5 situation
Yeah.
until 1999. So Millennium Dome though, I had to ask you, and we had to do a little looking up. So it's now been repurposed as the O2 Arena, which is a branded naming rights and all that stuff. But it's a bit essentially, I think it's used for concerts, maybe sports of some kind, indoor arena. But it was this cool dome. Who did the dome? Do you remember? Was
Was it Richard Rogers?
I think so. I think you're right. So was this magazine that's in the frame here all about the
Yeah,
dome,
Richard
the
Rogers.
the whole
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
project?
So it was
Was this
so
like
the
a
magazine that's in the frame is
GA?
yeah, it was a special issue of Architecture Review, the British version, right?
Oh,
And um, I think just in my own architecture theory and history fascination with things, like occasionally I felt like I had my finger on the pulse of stuff, at least for my own world. And so yeah, I was super excited about it. And um, it, it was a sort of an interesting way to um, you know learn a little bit about something across the pond that I wasn't necessarily going to visit at that time. um, no money. But yeah,
that's the DEFCON 3 situation there.
yeah, DEFCON 3 financially.
So yeah, I remember when all this was being designed and developed and I used to because the folly nature of it was so bizarre. Like Zaha's part was the human. Well, how much of it was her, the human figure that you could occupy? Like it was like you could walk into this thing, right?
Yeah, no, so like hers was juxtaposed against the human figure. And
Oh,
so like for me, like the human figure was sort of creepy.
Right.
The
Yeah.
way every
Yeah.
image of I saw of it was sort of creepy, which I think we're going to talk about some of that
Yeah.
oddly
We-
enough in a moment.
yeah.
But I looked at her sort of Mind Zone pavilion, sort of the way you're describing it, as sort of this installation art folly, and it to me it was like a reclining figure, and so that's why the sketch is such as it is for me. Is it's the Mind Zone sort of profile that's really recognizable, and then the figure kind of right up next to it, and Kurt's pulling up kind of the model of um, that folly installation, and I think that's part of also kind of where my head was at as an architect and as a young designer at that point too, um, is sort of interest in architecture that was exploring the nature of you know being temporary, being timely, um, exploiting kind of an idea and kind of embracing it, both with space and design. Um, in this particular case, when I see this form, even the one that Kurt has sort of pulled up as the model, I still see a reclining form. Um, whether or not that had anything to do with Zaha's work at the time, that's what resonated with me, and I think that that's okay too from the point of knowing where those influences are coming from. But her work as a architect has always inspired me, and she was a prolific illustrator and painter, and I think that just as a starting point certainly was something of you know interest all the way through, kind of you know my fascination, at least with her work.
Yeah. I think I enjoy the fact that the students that I teach these days, uh, if they can name one architect, it's Zaha, right? They don't necessarily always associate the names of architects with the designs of the buildings. I think Instagram nature, and I don't want to knock it too hard today. We can save that for another day in a different DEF CON. But they do uh, recognize the work of Zaha, which I appreciate. Uh, and now that she's passed away, it's like interesting to see the students reference, y- you know, uh, reference her work and sort of gravitate to it. Now, I'm not really sure where it's coming from. Maybe because it is so abstract and avant-garde in a way. Like there's it doesn't look like a building, like what they think buildings or the familiarity of what a building is, right? But it is still architecture, right? It encloses space and works with form. So so yeah, it's kind of fun to bring this thing back, as a and now I'm gonna go down after this talk. I'm gonna go off in a rabbit hole before I go into zone out on TV. I might probably go back to Mind Zone and look at some more of the installations and the dome itself and all that. Because the thing is that it's like a big tent, and everything lived under the tent and next to each other. So there's very like you said, juxtaposed. Like there's not a lot of from what I remember, it wasn't very complimentary from one pavilion to another, right? Like as space or design wise. So they were just all coexisting underneath this giant tent, right? It's
What
sort of like what's the word? The circus.
A little bit. I think circus is the right word, and even talking about your students kind of in the way that you have, I think is really astute. It's funny because you and I grew up at least in a situation where, as we were becoming familiar with Zaha's work, it was moving from paper architecture into built form, but in a pretty slow progression, right? And and so when you see something like Mind Zone at this sort of cusp of the millennium and all of the work that's kind of going into showcase, it's under the tent by Richard Rogers. Richard Rogers, formerly partnering with Renzo Piano. I mean, there's there's a genealogy of sorts, of architecture history or contemporary architecture history that sort of is kind of imagine that wave as a young professional, right? And so when you sort of see this work by her, in this particular location, it's sort of fascinating. And then, as you say, sort of you catapult that forward into kind of their portfolio, her portfolio of work, her firm's portfolio of work, is the commissions start to get larger, the projects get to be more ambitious, and those early paper architecture ideas, if you're familiar with them, you can start to find that through line.
Mm-hmm.
Even though now, you know, and as a firm grows, the principal designers kind of hands kind of get further and further away from the work to a certain degree, which we all understand because it's collaborative in nature. But I think that as your students are sort of dipping into it, I think they would potentially really appreciate sort of that through line of kind of going backwards as opposed to going forwards. Because when you start to move forwards after um, Zaha kind of starts to work with Schumacher, you know, now the firm sort of has taken a little bit of a different, tack,
Right.
and
Yeah.
one that doesn't personally resonate with me as much. A lot
Yeah.
of it's because of his political statements. I mean, and I'm sorry that matters. Um, but
Yeah.
but her work is has an indelible mark on that studio, and this one is just sort of an oddball, kind of in that mix of the portfolio, like you described. It's sort of a circus tent, and I think that even critics of the Millennium Dome as
Yeah.
a spectacle would probably say that you're pretty accurate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I did a little Googling before we got live and saw some article headlines of like, yeah, very overpriced, overbuilt or, very expensive waste of money, things that happen when you go for something that has it's not been done in that way before. So, there's always going to be some haters in the mix. But your point on through line, I think, is something that I've tried to I've not used that word, but I'm going to try and use it some more. But with my young students, the second year that I'm teaching right now, is this sometimes they generate, they're doing really well with iterating. We're kind of pushing them to like make multiple iterations of things and move quickly, and just sketch, and or model, and then they'll generate something that may not necessarily meet all the programmatic requirements, but is interesting from a form and composition. And I say, well, don't delete that. It might come back later in the semester or maybe even in a different year. But something like this is very interesting. May not fit the project that we have right now, but there's something about it, right? That they've stumbled across or worked through. And I say, these are all reference, right? Like anything that you work on can be useful for reference in any project, and back, like, I don't know about you, but when we did a lot of stuff on paper and by hand, right? Sketching or modeling, um, I couldn't always save every single model. I mean, I would try and photograph what I could, and then you retain that record, but the sketch or the physical, you can't save everything because it accumulates in your dorm room and your dorm mates get grouchy. But now with the digital tools, digital software, stuff like that, it's a weightless file on the computer. So as long as you have good filing practices
Well,
or
it's a weightless
file
file,
management.
but here's the emphasis on the phrase through line is at some point, and you and I do this a lot on the podcast, even subconsciously, is that we have these touchstone moments of projects and people and things that lead to other things in terms of one influencing the next. And even if we don't have the dates exactly right, um, we generally know which one came before what and what influenced what. And I think that level of understanding of how the dominoes start to stack up and how they start to fall is really really important, because just as you're suggesting to the students to say that's a really great kernel of an idea, don't lose that. It's not right for this project. That's okay, but you've stumbled onto something really good. That's the encouragement, right? That's the lifting up, that sometimes we have to do in the design process. That's a great idea. Hold on to it. Don't lose it. Don't use it right now. But find a way to realize that, at that point, the thought process that got you there, and then also the application of it in a future project. Because I think that that's sort of a really unique skill that, for me, when I say mature designer, or when felt like I've matured as a designer, not necessarily age wise, but just it's that skill. It's honing that skill to reach back to influences and pieces of projects, either my own or someone else's, to kind of understand them and let them help me as I iterate on whatever I'm working on today.
Yeah, I mean, it's like why we keep our sketchbooks too, right? Sometimes I flip through an old one and I go, "Oh, wow, I did that." Like an old sketch. Sometimes I mean, not to say that I haven't improved design or sketching skills since from an older sketchbook, but sometimes you look back and go, "Oh, that actually wasn't half bad." A 10-year-old sketch. You know, so yeah, yeah. It's kind of a fun conversation about looking backward to move forward a little bit and and sort of reach into those use the memory either your whatever you can store in the brain, or if you pull it up in a sketch or something like that. Yeah.
Well, and before we speed through the lightning round, that's sort of the next phase of moving past this good discussion. I do want to let's go back to the split screen, and then you can kind of shift your photos on
Oh,
the
oh, oh,
Miro,
oh.
because I have one more prop to share. So I have to say that so
Uh-huh.
that is my Zaha, the little puppy there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right,
So
right, right, right.
M and I's first dog. Um, so Zaha, um, in not necessarily like a 3D printed, you know, but maybe um, definitely a CNC file. So like kind of old school DIY CNC.
Did you make
Um,
that thing?
oh hell yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. So three pieces of plywood, marine grade plywood, and assembled it. There's it's all doweled together. There's no screws, nails, or anything. Um,
Ah,
and then stained. And so it is the epitome of architecture taken to a new level. So
architecture. We haven't really done a lot of we could go. We've talked a little bit about architecture from time to time, but we've not ever dug deep into formal presentation of architecture. Yeah, but dog architecture. I need to get a little architecture going on. You know, indoor outdoor
It was
living.
fun. It was fun, and you could see by the age of M in that picture how many years ago that was. But it was a super fun.
1999. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, no, she was
Not
not
quite.
alive. She was not alive then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely some fun tech iterations.
Oh, Zaha.
Yeah, Ozaha.
So thanks. Yeah, thanks for the memory. The okay. So Flash. Oh, where's it? Where's that go? Yeah,
So we
Flash.
ready for the
So this is
um,
some. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. This.
this is where we might go from DEFCON 3 to DEFCON 2 because this is what technology is doing to us,
Yeah.
folks.
Right there. There's the DEF CON 2. So we've decided to do a little AI AI enhancements to Jamie's sketch. Well, I was dabbling with some other things before we started recording, and Jamie pulled up the new sketch. So then we sort of like hybridized our workflow a little bit with sketch and multiple sketches merged together, and then using AI, the Viscom tool that we've been tinkering with. But so the left image, I wanted to put the two together. I thought it'd be a little less scary. The left, but we could zoom in. The left image is an
Oh please, oh
interpretation.
don't zoom in. Like it scares me every time you do. Please, please, it's enough.
It reminds me of oh God, what? There's a movie. Of course, it's a movie, but could be like Seven Deadly Sins. I don't know.
Like you mean the movie
Or
Seven?
seven, seven,
Yeah,
seven.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
This is like gluttony. Like
yeah. I kind of like uh the hairy the hairy nature because it's like picking up on your sketchy squiggles, but then
mm.
turning it into hair.
But then it's also the body is disemboweled,
It's
Kurt.
like yeah, it's
Like let you're kind of leaving out the punchline, right? Like
well, it's very difficult to describe what has happened. Yeah, it's sort of like a dismembered, disemboweled um, patient in a hospital. With hair, hairy hair.
and maybe a drawing of a building on the wall. Like they've scrawled it with those weird implements that they've left on the magazine.
Yeah. Well, at least it didn't get all zealous with the pens.
There is a peg leg, folks.
So the yeah the, with so we're not doing a great. It's very. We'll put these in the show notes somehow.
Whoo boy.
The hair, but so the one on the left is holds like I think 75% influence on your sketch, and the one on the right is like 25%. So it still has this sort of like open sketchbook look, which I kind of like. You like it too, I think. Uh, but this is more about buildings. I think we used a different feeder image, but
No, you
it's
did a double.
it's
You did a double image feed, and then like a short prompt. So
oh, and then yeah, okay, and then but so it's like open sketchbook, and then like three-dimensional buildings pop up, which could be the future, right? Like VR, AR, like I sketched something and then I flip it open and then it extrudes buildings and makes
it's like an old
three-dimensional.
pop up book.
Yeah, kind of cool. The coffee cup is
The old
made
pop
of
up
made
book
of stone.
versus I'm not even sure where to start describing the sketch on the left, other than it frightens me a lot. Gosh, keep zooming up on it. It's just that's
Well, now we have to go back and maybe compare your sketch to the, you know, there's some honor to the composition, I suppose, with the pens.
Like, have you seen like John Haydock's like sketches that he does with sort of architecture poetry, and then does
Oh,
his follies off of that? Like,
yeah.
like that to me, like if you just kind of like if you cover up one eye and you don't look at the dude part of the weird AI
Oh,
sketch,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
like
Yeah, yeah.
the folly aspect of the sketch that I'm imagining this disemboweled individual has drawn on the wall. I'm sorry to have to say that phrase out loud, folks, but like it makes me think of Haydock a little bit, sort of in this sort of styling of it, or like an Aldo Rossi, like crayon sketch or something like that. It's
Hmm.
got kind of those sort of geometric forms, but my God, like the form that it's and it's like AI is just like dug in on this figure, like in it. It's like rendered like a whole face that's not even like in the original sketch, and given it this crazy hair that looks like something out of Akira, and then like and then I don't know. It's just
I think
there's
it's because it has more facial features than your sketch, so
yeah.
it looks more human. It's it was definitely a very surprising result because it's fun. It's fun prompting the AI, and then it spins a little bit, and it's like pulling the roulette or the pulling the lever on
The
what
Price is
the
Right.
slot machine. The slot machine.
Like the wheel. Are you talking about the wheel on The
No,
Price
not
is
the
Right?
wheel.
Like
The
where you try and
lever,
get $1?
like a slot machine, you know?
Oh,
Because it spins and then you don't know what it's gonna produce. So,
there's way
although
too many
you know,
pop culture references in this like
I
but
know
episode, but
we're just cramming them all in there
yep.
now. So anyway, well, I think the outcome of this, though, my summary for the day is perhaps like I need to figure out how to predict, be a little more predictive of what the AI is going to generate based on what we're feeding it, you know? Because that was a bit of a surprise outcome. I was
Well, I
not
mean,
expecting.
admittedly, we did give it two images to play off of that were two. They were two images of the same subject, but rendered wholly different. And then we did not give it a lot to go on in terms of an explanation. So I think part of it was like, "What do you think?" And what we got was like a dumpster fire, but that's okay. Um,
Ah, a nightmare. It's just nightmares. Jamie's nightmares.
yeah, I'm gonna sleep well tonight, folks. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, go watch some what was it? Prime Target.
Well, I mean, I watched Firewalk with Me last night, so what am I doing to myself?
So a
But
lot of dreams. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of nightmares.
yeah,
So, all right, friend.
thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Well, see you next week.